Hello everyone, this is part 7 of What If Naruto Had a Hug That Changed Everything, and I hope you guys enjoy this video and to like, to subscribe, to share, and check out the playlist, to see more comment down below. Now let's start the intro.
They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god.
Join my membership, the perks are great. It's in the description. Be sure to like and subscribe, it gives me more motivation. Why me? A flabbergasted Naruto thought to himself, as he and his 3 female companions treaded through the air from tree to tree. Why me? Why? Why does the old man have to be so evil? I mean, sure, I can understand Sakura being here, seen as how we're a team and all, despite her hating my guts. A major downside to be sure, but did he have to stick me with Ino and the Psycho Bee? It isn't fair. It's not fair. The new and unlikely team of Narasaku Ino Anko, wow, left their village hours ago for an important B-rank mission. At least, Sarutobi said it was important. Naruto thought he was full OS and simply assumed that the aged Sandaime had some anonymous grudge against him. Yeah, it's true that he was being totally irrational, but cut the guy some slack, he's had it rough the last couple of days. During their trek through the forest outside Konoha, the eyes of Ino and Sakura discreetly shifted constant and worried glances to the blonde kitsune between them. They were scared. They had every reason to be. It was true that they agreed to make it up to Naruto eventually, no matter what, but this was a little much. Neither of the 2 females were ready to face him, and the uber-irritated squint that was still plastered on his face since they'd left the Hokage's dorm hours ago, didn't help their chances get any less bleak. Damn it. Why did things have to be this way? A super worried Sakura inwardly grimaced. It's all my fault. If I hadn't said all of those terrible things to him, then maybe our hands wouldn't be tied. Naruto-kun doesn't deserve any of this. A few more moments after her thoughts, Sakura started to feel that same heart-wrenching guilt boil over once again. She couldn't stand feeling like a victim of her own grief. It made her feel weak and helpless. There may have been a serious lack of communication before, but now the chance to set things right was right here before her. Whether she would take it or not, was up to her entirely, and she had to take the chance now. I can't take this anymore, Ino mentally shouted, Naruto. With his unsettling squint still present upon his face, Naruto quickly shifted his pupils to Ino's direction as a silent response. The newly dressed Genin's glare was vastly unsettling and Ino nearly wet her bandages as she caught it. Sakura caught her voice from sounding and listened to what her blonde friend had to say. I have something to tell you, she began with a very uneasy tone, before trying her damnedest to steel her resolve, something that I should have said a long time ago. Naruto silently scoffed. Ya know what? I was just about to tell you the same thing, he said with much seriousness. Ino's eyes widened with hope when she heard Naruto's words. You were, she asked just to make certain. Sakura, too, perked up a bit when she heard this. She looked intently at the 2, awaiting where this would go. Would he accept? Would he understand? And if he did, would it grant Sakura the strength necessary to do what was demanded of her? Naruto nodded, before shifting his eyes forward again. Yeah, I was. How's about we focus on the mission at hand and save whatever useless comments we have, till, oh, I don't know, we croak of old age. Huh. Now, doesn't that sound like a kick in the ass? He snarked sarcastically. Ooh. Shot down and destroyed. Ino's heart not only sank into her chest, but it nearly exploded with grief and shameful disappointment. The blonde female's face cringed a lot as she averted her turquoise orbs to the direction ahead of her. She had no reason to complain, though, she really felt like she deserved that one, although the pain in her chest was almost intolerable. For Sakura, every hope of doing what she was hoping of doing was incinerated when she saw what just happened. The pink-haired Genin gulped hard. So much for that idea, she thought grudgingly to herself. Snapping the 2 females out of the troubled thoughts, was the older female voice of Anko, who had been trotting slightly ahead of the bunch. He's right. We're on a mission, so keep all else aside for the time being. You can settle your little feuds, then, Anko said straightforwardly. Besides, all of your incessant rambling is driving insane. How I ever got stuck a bunch of losers like you, because of horrible timing, is beyond me. Aren't cue the sweat beads. Still, What Lord Hokage mentioned to me does make sense. Out of, flashback out of. After very little argument from Naruto, much to the dismay of Sakura and Ino, the blonde boy grudgingly accepted the mission, as he was in dire need of some cash. What can ya do? Anko, of course, was the one who couldn't even fathom the idea. The very second that the three genin exited the Hokage's dorm, Anko raised her protests. Lord Hokage, is there any particular reason why you're sticking with 3/5 of the Power Rangers this day? She asked with redundant sarcasm. With the children now gone and certainly out of earshot, Sarutobi's face grew serious and unmoving. Anko, he said with his cage seriousness. Why yes, she responded uneasily, due to her leader's change in demeanor. The gray-haired Sandaime closed his eyes. There's a reason why you were chosen to help these genin on this particular mission, he said with impassive intent. Anko stared on as she awaited what she was about to be told. You were the one to tell me of the reappearance of Orochimaru, yes? Sarutobi asked. Anko flinched back. What are you saying? You're not seriously involving 3 inexperienced genin in a mission involving him, she exclaimed valiantly. Sarutobi opened his eyes. Of course not. Come here for a moment, he calmly ordered. Curious as to see what Sarutobi was addressing to, Anko approached his desk further. The Sandaime placed his index finger upon the B-rank scroll. Take a look at the mission you 4 will be assigned to. It may interest you, he said. Immediately doing what she was told, Anko carefully streaked USD the written task with piqued interest. When she was finished, the brunette Junin was mildly surprised. She read the contents over a few more times just to see if she wasn't going red. Lord Hokage, I don't understand. Shouldn't this be ranked as? I am aware of your sentiments, Anko, but rest assured, with the ability levels of those 3 genin at your side I am confident that you'll be able to accomplish this mission, Sarutobi reassured. Anko was finding everything that she had heard to be quite unbelievable. What are you getting at, sir? The Haruno and the Yamanaka girls' abilities are mediocre at best, but the Uzumaki boy is actually what I wanted to talk to you about, she mentioned. Sarutobi leaned back in his large seat. Yes, I am aware of that. You are concerned with the boy's sudden increase in speed and reflexes, yes, he asked knowingly. Anko finally ceased her reading of the mission and looked at her Hokage. Actually, I was. Do you think that it's possible that he gained a bit of the Yuku's power when it appeared? It would seem so. So, you assume that with his newfound power and senses he could be a very valuable asset to any difficult mission. Of course. From what you have told me about the boy's encounter with the Anbu, he wouldn't have much of a problem on this B-rank mission. So are you gonna tell me why I picked you to be their Junin squad leader? Well, you are hell-bent on discovering Orochimaru's whereabouts and intentions, so I figured you would be perfect for the job. Okay, could you please stop finishing your sentences? Sorry, but it's a habit that I picked up from something that I can't put my finger on. It just sort of happens, Sarutobi said in a somewhat bewildered manner. Anko slightly shook her head before straightening herself. Okay, I understand. I'll inform them of our duties at once, she said before walking out of Sarutobi's office. Out of, end flashback out of. Now that I think of it, with the combination Naruto's heightened abilities, Ino's mind transfer techniques, and Sakura's massive chakra control and genjutsu abilities, this mission could actually go quite smooth. Anko was suddenly sped for her thoughts when the back of her trench coat was viciously snatched and pulled, immediately halting her tree hopping. With her feet now swept into the air, Anko had just enough time to see Naruto with one of his arms latched onto her coat, before he completely yanked her back. With his heightened reaction time, Naruto released his grip on Anko's coat as she flew backwards and reached his arms to both of his sides, snatching the unnoticing Sakura and Ino by the back of their collars in midair. Before even given an instant to grasp what the hell just happened, Naruto jumped back off of the branch he was on, catching Anko between his legs during mid-leapt. Dexterously hopping down the trees without the slightest bit of difficulty, the blonde genin was able to get all 3 of the girls to safety without doing so much as scratching them. With the perfection of his timing and the unseemly knowledge of his surroundings, Naruto promptly landed behind a large boulder in the ground, cradling Sakura and Ino heads with his arms, covering their mouths, and Anko plopped on her ass in between Naruto's legs, with her mouth covered with one of the blonde's free hands. With Naruto's head turned to the side with one eye squinted and the other widened, he held the girls in place. Don't make a sound, Naruto sternly but quietly warned. Ino and Sakura's eyes were still widened as they tried to grasp what was happening now. After a few more seconds they calmed their expressions and didn't bother to question Naruto at the moment. Anko was another story. She, too, had her eyes widened at the abrupt change in action, but hardened her expression to a firm glare, not caring what Naruto's reason were for doing that. He was the absolute last person on earth that she ever expected to surprise her, and there she was, sitting in between his legs looking like red-headed stepchild being held hostage. A distinctive growl hummed quietly through Naruto's hands, causing him to reflexively grip tighter around her mouth. Anko was fixin' to pull out a kunai and S off the boy's hand until she picked up a chakra pulse. Her Junin instincts kicked in and she silenced herself completely. I think it came from over here, the voice of a male shinobi said. We might have a few visitors. Yeah, maybe. Just remember what the boss said. We'd better get back to our post so we don't incur his ungodly wrath. You remember what happened last time, the voice of another male responded. But what if there's someone out here who can with really F everything up? Would he forgive us then? Don't know, don't care. Just follow his orders and don't question them. You how he does it. With that, the two men dashed off in the opposite direction. With the ninja now gone, Naruto still had the girls in his grip and was still feeling very uneasy. Of course his thoughts didn't last long, as he suddenly felt several agonizing pricks on his hand. With his face scrunching up in some ridiculous way after each of the pricks of pain, Naruto shot his eyesight to the source of it all and saw Anko repeatedly stabbing his hand with kunai. Using every ounce of willpower he possessed to keep himself from screaming bloody and compromising their position, Naruto shot his bruised hand back, curling his fingers as he comically glared at the very pain that now coursed throughout it. With Anko released, she shot to her feet and brushed herself off, while glare cannonballs at the blonde who dared to touch her like that. Ino and Sakura saw the whole thing. With Naruto's grip weakened, they both shot to their own feet and death glared at their squad leader. What the hell did you do that for? Sakura shouted at the Junin. He was just trying to. Both of you, be quiet, Naruto said with a dull and quieted roar. Ino and Sakura looked back at Naruto with worried expressions, but, Naruto, they both complained in unison. The blonde boy shot a very unsettling glare at both of his female companions, shutting them up immediately. Listen. I think we might have stepped into enemy territory, he said. Anko scoffed, but unconsciously kept her voice to a whisper. Oh yeah. And just what makes you so sure? She asked in a surprisingly challenging manner. Naruto looked at his hand one last time and saw that it was completely healed. He stood up and carefully took in his surroundings. The air. It reeks of blood, he said with a cautious look of edginess glued to his face. There are traps all over this forest. And I only stopped all of you because we needed to know who we're up against. So far, it looks like we're getting close to an enemy base. Quote. Wow, all of the females thought in unison, as they all unconsciously plastered stunned and bewildered looks on their faces. Anko was the first to shake out of her wonderment. Guess you have been paying attention in class, but you're right. We can't stay here any longer. We'll just have to make do and avoid all of the traps as best we can. We'll just split into two factions, one covering the air, and another covering the ground, she informed, while still looking at Naruto, which shouldn't be so hard with Foxboy over here. His change in wardrobe will definitely help him out in the stealth department as well. Who knew the kid had it in him? Without realizing it, a somewhat proud smile creeped its way to Anko's lips as she started to wonder what else the boy was now capable of, but that all remains to be seen. Okay, so, shouldn't we be going, now? The enemy might be onto us, Sakura steadily mentioned. With a nod from everyone else in the group, they all disappeared within their ninja speed and treaded throughout the forest more discreetly, safely avoiding traps and all of that crap thanks to Naruto's fantastic senses, along with Anko's. She is a special Junin, after all. This is totally weird, Sakura thought to herself while dashing through the forest floor with Ino and looking up at Naruto, who tagged along with Anko atop the trees. I've seen Naruto so commanding and dominant. It's true what Ino said, he has changed a lot. A part of Sakura felt rotten for the possibility that the change was her fault and that she missed the old Naruto already. However, another part of her couldn't ignore the rising heat of her body temperature that was brought on by the blonde boy's silent ferocity, especially when he held her to keep her silent. He smelled really good, Sakura's subconscious mind blurted out, "Ah. No. Stay focused, Sakura." Seeing her friend beside her start to look a little downheart, due to the possibility that Naruto's change was completely her fault, Ino, herself, started the plummet in that same direction. "I don't understand why I feel so bad. I did the right thing yesterday and set Sakura straight, but now she's just so down," Ino thought, before looking up at Naruto and suddenly started to blush. Naruto. He's changed, but I can't tell whether it's good or bad. The look in his eyes, he's definitely proved himself to be a fantastic leader, all in all. After a while of steeping further into unknown territory, the squad noticed that the traps seemed to have decreased to a large degree. Sensing this, Naruto and Anko signaled for the halt. Once stopped, Ino and Sakura stealthily hopped to the tree to join the rest of their squad. Hiding discreetly behind the mass of leaves from tree trunks and all of that which rather, the squad kept their eyes glued to a camp that was clearly visible to them all. "Okay," Anko began, "do you all remember who we're looking for?" With a nod from everyone, they all intently watched the movements of the shinobi guarding the campsite. It wasn't hard to tell that it was a complicated setup, but they all made doubly sure that they weren't spotted as they continued to watch their pattern of movements. Hours passed by. With all of the careful and trained eyes, the Leaf Genin and Anko were able to fully memorize the patterns. What was surprising, however, was that Naruto didn't say anything, no complaints, no GSES, nothing. He just stood there with just as much, if not more intent than his teammates had. The most notable thing about it all was that Naruto seemed to be very deep in thought. The look in his eyes practically screamed, "Don't bother me, I'm thinking." After a moment or two of silence, a smile swept Naruto's lips. "Say, Ino." Meanwhile, inside of an underground chamber at the enemy base, a battered young woman with long black hair, stretched to nothing more than her bra and panties, was savagely punched flying into a wall of the chamber, hacking up a dangerous amount of blood upon impact. She slid to the floor and struggled to lift her head up to glare at her attacker. The attacker was a man wearing a shinobi vest with all black garments underneath, and a mask to hide his face. He wore a Whirlpool Village headband with a slash across it. This is your last chance with me. Tell me what else you know, or I'll make thing a hell of a lot worse," he barked. The bruised and beaten female hacked up another serving of her blood, before glaring at the man defiantly. "Go to hell, you slime. You bastards already took my purity. I owe you nothing," she retorted, before receiving a brutal kick to the abdomen, causing her to fold over and hit her forehead against the floors, holding her sore area and gasping for air. The enraged shinobi had lost his patience with the woman, as he cracked his knuckles. "All right, you little whore. You've had your chance," he yelled, before reeling his fist back to slam it upon the poor woman's head with all of his might. That is, until the barred door to the gate opened, revealing a man with the same garb but with a slashed Sand Village headband instead. The Whirlpool Ninja eyed the man wearily. "What the? Why aren't you at your post?" he demanded. The Sand Ninja glared at his fellow shinobi. "Are you some kind of idiot? Your shift is over for now." "This is my post," he retorted with irritation. The Whirlpool shinobi's eyes squinted with angry realization, before he walked right past his fellow guard. With that, the Sand Ninja approached the whimpering brunette. "Ashima Karatsun," the man called out in an uncharacteristically gentle, while reaching his hand out to aid her. Sensing this, Ashima shot her head off of the ground and fearfully slapped his hand away, crying out in helpless terror. "Stay back. Get away from me," she bellowed, causing the man to flinch in surprise. "I hate you. I hate you all. You took everything from me, and for that, I'd rather than tell you anything else." The Sand Ninja's face fell. "My God. They must have did horrible things to her. Her mind is wavering greatly," he thought, while looking down at the pitiable young female. The man's face suddenly grew determined. "Come on, Ashima-san. You're getting out of here," he declared with a strengthened resolve. Ashima fell back on her ass and screamed. She screamed loud and it was ear-grating. "No, please don't arm me again. Please," she begged out of sheer desperation. Finally deciding that he'd had enough, the sand shinobi knelt down in front of the frightened woman and quickly clutched his hand over her mouth to shut her the F up. Listen to me, he whispered, I'm not one of them. I'm here to bring you back to Konoha with my squad, Ashima-san. With tears draining down her face, Ashima silenced her screams. The sand ninja slowly lowered his hand from the frightened brunette's mouth in the fears of her screaming again. To his luck she only sobbed. Who are you? She asked whilst whining. The sand ninja smiled. Unfortunately, before he could respond, another voice called out from behind him. Ah, perfect timing. Get that defiant little bee outside. The boss wants to have word with her, the other man called out. At hearing those dreadful words, Ashima's tears fell down with more ferocity as she immediately recalled what that meant. No, she whispered. The sand ninja stared at the captive woman in confusion. What is it? He asked. Ashima lowered her head and tangled her fingers in her hair as she feared the worst. No, not him. Not him, she lamented with terror. The sand ninja became even more confused. Who is she talking abo? Hey, what's taking you? You know how irritable the boss gets when you keep him waiting, right? The man at the entrance of the chamber warned. The sand ninja's face cringed behind his mask. Forgive me, he whispered, before knocking the unsuspecting Ashima's face into the wall with a punch so hard, the left side of her head crashed into the wall, rendering her totally unconscious. That will be all for this video. Be sure to like, subscribe, share, and comment down below for more videos. Goodbye.